certain applications that work pretty well. For instance, when we talk about PlayStation, or when we talk about, you know, other kind of games consoles, so like that are very well catered for those type of content. Whereas, for instance, news can be consumed, you know, on like more kind of generic devices. So yes, there is an approach that would be like subject to the second.
On Shahid NBC, what was the most successful content on that? Let's take it as a model.
I can name it. It was Omar during Ramadan, and it was purely as a decent catch-up service. Again, most people sitting home off their PC and reviewing it. I think one of the interesting things when we talk about second screen and multi-platform delivery is how we make the money out of it. Most people, I'm talking about myself here as a viewer, I don't necessarily want to watch something on a mobile phone. I don't necessarily want to watch something on an iPad unless it's, you know, breaking news or, well, no, to be honest with you, if I want to watch a film, I want to watch it on my 55-inch TV. I want to watch it with my full surround. I don't want to be watching it on my iPad unless I'm on a plane. What I want to be able to do is we create unique appointments to view on our channels for our very, very popular live shows, such as The Voice, Arab's Got Talent, and Arab Idol. And what I'd like to be able to do is actually create a true second screen experience that I can make money out of. So triggered off The Voice or whatever else, I want people to be interact with my thing. There was a Ipsos study, I think, that was done last year in the States, that I think it's 24% of the people they surveyed were surfing on their iPad at the same time as watching TV. I want to take that 24% of people and I want to make money out of them, which is always about. So I'd be interested in people's ideas about how they could see we can make money out of that, which is what it's all about, really, isn't it?
If you want to make money, we have to offer a good user experience.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think it's a different user experience than just watching the same content I can get on a TV, on an iPad. It's that extended interactivity. It's like text things in the UK and everything else.
A third camera, a fourth camera, some other way to interact with the first screen experience through the second screen. You know, giving them something that's, you know, totally separate, but it actually sort of embeds them into that experience.
Absolutely. I mean, on Arab Idol last year, we actually had the 360 camera technology, so people could go in on their iPad and look around. It had quite a good uptake, but again, it's just then either advertising on that or making it interactive enough to make money out of it.
But I think it's very much the combination of the services. That's where you will make the money. You won't make the services on one type of thing. You will make the money on providing the interactivity and the lock-in to the linear channels, and providing the multi-platform, so both in the lean-back context, in the personal second screen, and in mobile TV as well when that arrives. And I think that's where you monetize, by having the services across all of those, providing the single experience, and that's where you avoid the churn. You bring in the pay TV customers, the premium customers, and that's how you make your money, not on an individual service.
And I mean, we're talking about money. We talked about the fourth camera. We're talking about user experience. Alex, from your own experience, what is the new trends that might generate more revenue for the operators?
I was going to say analytics, right? I think like the great thing about digital is that you now have a new way of engaging with your audience to keep them and retain them, but also to get a little bit better understanding about them. In an analog world, you're broadcasting without knowing who's on the other end. You can do that in real time now. So You Think You Can Dance can analyze automated tweets to understand what content is trending and important. That shapes a little bit of the content production. I think that's a whole new dynamic. So I think, digital is perhaps in its infancy, and so the monetization around it is maybe a longer term horizon that you need to look at, but you need to somehow start to build those models in early on, if it's freemium or if it's download or ad-based. But there's so many different possibilities that come from it, and I think that level of engagement and the analytics around it are unlike anything we've seen.
No, I actually definitely agree. I think analytics and metadata management is very important. As you know, metadata not only for the premium content that you actually have on your platform, but as well for any content that's out there. and metadata that's actually linked to, traditionally called so-called recommendation engines, and as well blended into social TV, so that you have an interactivity not only with the platform that's recommending you eventually content, but as well with friends that people that physically, and what they like, and maybe you like that content too, and there you go, you join that. And I think that the comment, I didn't follow all of the previous panels, and in one of them, I've heard that somebody told that this region is actually behind the rest of the world. Why this region is not a step ahead? I think that instead the population, especially Saudi Arabia and UAE in the Gulf, if you look at Egypt, for example, population is very young. If I go back to Italy, I look around, I see lots of old people, and I think that young people are into all these applications, new media, and I think that this region will soon be many steps ahead of the rest of the world, especially looking at the economic crisis and situation elsewhere. On connected devices, I believe that in this region, still a hybrid set-top box is what operators are using, and I see that as a very good point. Dual screen navigation, or using a touch screen device as a companion device, much better than a remote control that's used on a TV or on a connected set-top box. To browse the content, make eventually in your home or outside your home your selections, and then do an action eventually on the main screen device, which I agree. In some cases, you wanna watch a nice movie or a soccer game at home, not on your handheld, unless you're on the move, which I don't think in this region is happening a lot, as people are driving. So hopefully they don't watch TV while they're driving. So
I mean, it's good what you're mentioning. So people want to interact, and we want them actually to interact with the content. While building our system, how we can drive this interaction? What do we need to do in our app, in our setup box, in our console? Do we need to have a second screen beside the main screen? What we are going to do to make the people interact with our content that we're delivering to them?
I think that the second screen is already a reality. It's already there, and it will only grow. So I think that we need to go back to the content side, make the content more relevant to the end user, so he can really interact, as like some of the colleagues were saying. And for instance, like today, as a region, when you subscribe to a bouquet of like content, you get like probably 80 or 75% of the channels are completely relevant to your personal choice. This is not only a waste in terms of resources, but also in terms of distraction for the end user. So what we're going to see is like much more customized and personalized offers that will be offered to the end users, that then will be like tailored to specific devices. So I can, if I'm a fan of sports, I want to have sport packets that will follow me if I am on the TV, if I am with like using an app, or if I am using a connected device.
Okay, we're talking about new trends. Let's say I'm going to ask each one of you to give me, let's build an app, a service here, and each one of you give me a simple added value service on that app. The next generation OTT service that you're going to deliver to your viewers, to your subscribers, what could be?
Social CRM and social interaction.
I would like to be able to access and search across the multidimensional metadata that's included in this, to be able to then link to other things I want to see.
Yeah, the ability to have an auto-learning application that learns your sort of interactions and what you like. So I'd like to have an app that would learn what I like as a person, as a user, and take that and adapt it to my viewing experience.
And give you a content related to
Absolutely.
that? Interesting.
It's metadata manipulation, being able to search and find what you want. A bit like when you're on the internet.
The right content pop up in front of my face. Interesting.
Probably that problem. But data manipulation.
It depends, but if I take the case of just news, it's something that the app that will allow me to delve deeper, allow me to understand the background, the context of all the stories, and to get alternate views. So, I mean, it depends on the type of content you're viewing, but certainly in news, that's something that is powerful.
Interesting. Alex?
Maybe what JJ was saying, I'm not sure if it's the same thing, but community interaction. So I want with my social friends to be able to watch something live and interact with them. That builds a bigger user base, I think, for broadcasters, but also is more personalized for me watching when friends aren't physically next to us.
Yeah, I think what I would say is less is more from my perspective. So an application that can run on multiple devices and it's homogeneous with what you're using on the screen and do a screen navigation. I think that's what's missing here.
So if any one of you guys want to build a service and want to use any of these ideas, you know what to do. Percentage. We can talk about that later. So let's move on to, we're talking about services, content, networks. We don't own the networks. You don't own your network. NBC, you don't own your network. It's owned by someone else, somewhere else. How is the relationship? How is the interaction? I should have asked this question also to OSN. How you're offering your service, how the telcos are happy with you using their platforms and spending all this bandwidth on streaming media?
I think that it depends on the moment of the life cycle of the end user. Like for instance, provisioning is still a big challenge in the region.
Yeah.
Like how we provision the service, how we actually do it on time, and without basically jeopardizing that willingness to pay that has the end user. That's still a challenge. When we move towards the usage of the network, we need to differentiate between GCC countries that enjoy a phenomenal infrastructure and the Middle East countries that, as was pointed, is more challenging in terms of delivery. So it requires different strategies. And then of course, something that becomes very critical is who owns the customer. Yes. And in our case, it's very clear. We're just a facilitator of our partner, that is the operator. So the customer always resides with them, and we just serve them. So it's very clear. But still, when we want to do customer value management and, for instance, upselling or cross-selling, we need to work very closely with them.
Is NBC talking to telcos about, or just to keep it open?
Sure. I mean, telcos generally pay us to be on their network. It's to us it's pretty similar to talking to Dish Networks or even Arsa and everything else. For us, it's just another platform.
Yeah. We've heard some situation where telcos, they want their share from this service, especially when it comes to someone using a large, huge bandwidth. Is any one of your customers, guys, facing some issues like that, where telco wants to be part of the game, not only?
Well, in the UK, the telcos lost the argument. When the BBC iPlayer first came out, it crashed the UK broadband network. The demand was that great. I think the BBC was taken to court over it, and they won the case on the basis that telcos were selling all this bandwidth. It's not the BBC's problem that they couldn't deliver it. Since then, I don't think it's been an issue in the UK. The laws are totally different here in the Middle East, and I think the telcos will go after the operator eventually.
Yeah. So far there's no problem, but I think there is discussions happening in the background. Alex, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, I mean, I think to Nick's point, they're just another conduit to deliver the content. At the end of the day, the content is what's most important, and the telcos need to find a way to be able to either monetize that with added value, not just because they own the pipes. Right? That's not enough. The demand is going to come from the consumers, one or the other. And so we have a little bit of a different view from the telcos here, but I think that at the end of the day, the customer will choose and the content is most important, so the telcos need to readapt themselves to be part of the value chain.
So I think that, as we all know, CDNs are very important these days. I think that, a telco that owns its network has a huge advantage, and if you're a content provider and you want to deliver a service that's it's a good service to your customers, you will hit a bottleneck at a certain point in time in which the quality of the content you're delivering on somebody else's network is not as good as your customers are willing to pay. As we all know, network providers like Cisco, Juniper, and others, Ericsson, etc., are embedding into their devices, more smart CDNs already. So that to me, I mean, it's a good indication